Dear Father, as we gather here this evening, we're so grateful, God, for a place to come and to convene. We're thankful, God, for this ability to do this, and grateful for men and women to serve. Thank you, God, for the privilege of meeting openly and without reservation. We ask your blessings upon this meeting tonight, Lord, that you would have a hand in all that's said and done. We invoke your blessings, Lord, on this Perry Council, in the name of Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for turning me loose. It's only been bothering me since 1981.
Oh, well. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
Well, by the clock on the wall, it's now 7 o'clock. I welcome everybody to this meeting and call it to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Devin, would you take roll call, please?
Mike Connell. Chad Fuller.
Here.
Mindy Galvin. Here. Larry Lambert.
Here.
Todd Porter.
Here.
Steve Wallace.
Here.
Mayor Suhanen.
Here.
All is accounted for.
And I'm looking for approval of the agenda.
I move that the agenda be adopted as printed.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Looking for approval of the minutes, reading and approval of the minutes.
I move that we suspend the rules, waive the reading, and approve the minutes from the May 5th, 2022 regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion to waive the reading and approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. So now we're at pre-approved reports. So you didn't have to wait very long for your report. Mindy?
Yeah. This award is going to Luff's Garage and Tire Center. And it is because I appreciate the way you are keeping your building appearance and everything. I know it's kind of hard right now because it's early and flowers aren't there yet and things like that. But it looks to me like you're following in the same steps as the previous owner and maintaining a pleasant atmosphere at your new establishment.
Thank you.
And we appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
So thank you.
Thank you.
This is for you.
Okay, don't be too shy. And cheese. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we really do appreciate when our businesses take pride in
You're
their
very welcome.
places. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mindy. We're going to have a report from the food bank, and Larry invited them and talked to them, so I'll ask you to introduce.
Thank you. Genevieve Cottrell is here to give us an update on the recent activities on the food bank. I know it's got a longer name than that, but I'm always going to refer to it as the Perry Area Food Bank. Genevieve was taken over recently, I understand, as the president of the activity.
Correct.
And we had an update here a few months ago, but it's probably time for her to come back in and tell us what's going on now.
Thank you. Thank you to the council for the opportunity, and thank you for your continued support. The use of your facility is really key in our ability to reach the public, have a safe place for them to come, and to use the resources that really everybody here in the community is providing on our behalf. Like Larry mentioned, we've had a bit of a change of leadership, and that has involved some changes in our focus. The past 6 months have been focusing on what have been barriers for our community to use the services, and how can we make those barriers go away or lessen them so that more people feel like they can avail themselves to our services, and that it's a friendly, welcoming place for everybody to come. So I have a handout that briefly covers it. I know your agenda is very busy, so I will hand this to you and just go over some of the points here. Mainly, we wanted to, in updating our bylaws, we wanted to ensure that the public was aware that we are committed to giving our clients and the community dignity and respect. That coming to a food bank is not something that they should dread, is that something that they should seek out if they need it. So we've added these clients' rights to our bylaws, which is that they will receive food free of charge. They don't have to take part and participate in any activity. They'll be treated with respect, no matter their race, gender, or orientation. They'll receive food that's safe to eat, and that we will keep their information private and confidential. So we felt that that was really important, that be put out there. So that's due to be posted on our Facebook page, which is also new for us. We have a Facebook page so people can see our activities, make donations, and also message us anytime, day or night, for assistance. In the past, clients were required to provide their financial holdings, what their checking accounts, what their savings accounts, what those were. We felt that that could be a barrier, so we've eliminated that, along with also eliminating the barrier for asking for an explanation of why they were at the food bank. We felt that if they came to the food bank, that was explanation enough. So again, trying to preserve that dignity. Another important decision that we made was making sure that the choices that our clients could have would be healthy choices. We still have some of the old standbys, but we wanted to make sure that people who are in need were not looked upon as having to have less than, that good nutrition, healthy nutrition is important, particularly for people who are stressed, even more so for people who are stressed. So changes in what we're offering, and also offering a client choice, where clients can come in and shop at the food bank. If they don't feel comfortable doing that, our volunteer can work with them over the phone and pack a box for them and make that at the ready. So they can choose what they like, choose what they eat, and choose what their family will eat to empower what they have there. We also wanted to do more reach out to the community. Larry, your conversations you and I have been really helpful with that, making sure that the community knows that we're progressing, we're moving forward, and that we value their support. So along with our Facebook page and a dedicated email address, we're reaching out to other pantries in the area to combine services, to share resources so that the bounty that we have and that they have, we can share with all of our clients. And there also giveaway days, updating our box at Carl's, and a new door sign, which hopefully will be here this week so clients know where to find us. Part of that community engagement is making sure that we're fiscally and financially responsible and transparent. So we do partner with Looking Glass Outreach. They are an organization that provides utility, rent, prescription services, free taxi services in the area. They have direct connections with utilities and local rental companies to fast track those times when clients need those utility bills, they're facing shut off or they're facing eviction. So they have a team of people that do that. So it used to be in the past that members of the food bank would try and work that around, but we found our partnership with Looking Glass really expedites that for us and for the clients, most importantly. They have the expertise to do that. And they do offer a lot of services. Here are some, again, rent utility assistance, free taxi service, prescription assistance. They have a lot of things that they do for the community. They currently serve our area, including Langsburg and Durand. 2/3 of their client base come from the Perry Morris Shaftesburg area, 2/3. So we know that their services are being utilized, and we refer quite a number of people to them. So we're really grateful for their partnership. Also with that, when our new treasurer, Stacy Smith, took over, she noted that our tax filings weren't perhaps as they should be, and we requested assistance from a tax specialist in Wausau who got us on the right track, and now we are filing appropriately. We also are filing with the Michigan Attorney General's office, which hadn't been done in the past, as a registered nonprofit. So all of our financial disclosures and information will be available to the general public at any time through the Attorney General's office. We felt that that was really important for transparency. And we've updated our bylaws to reflect that clients can come for food when they need food, that there isn't a restriction on a month's time or a day or a date when they come and when they can't be eligible. In the past, it was every 3 months. And we felt that that could be a barrier to some people as well, that they were looking on the clock and wondering when they could come. We also realized that financial situations can change from year to year. So we were hesitant to put a hard and fast rule on how often we could provide services because we didn't want to make promises we couldn't keep. So we've updated our bylaws to say, as long as we have the financial means available, we will provide for the community. Right now, our message to our volunteers is nobody is turned away. Nobody is turned away. We also, for our volunteers, we're getting new volunteers in. We've instituted a new electronic sign-up form, more opportunities for volunteering. Looking forward, we're hoping to put a 24-hour outdoor pantry for folks who can't make it, or folks maybe who still feel like there's a few barriers to coming into the actual food. Updating our client intake form, particularly one of our volunteers is a statistician, and we're going to be collecting more meaningful information so that we can look at that, see what our client base needs, who they are, where they're coming from, and provide the services in for that as well. And other big ideas, community gardens, more partnerships with Greater Lansing Food Bank. So we've tackled a lot, but we've got a lot more to go. And I am, again, very appreciative. Every time we go to the donation boxes, we see donations in there, monetary donations come in. I am overwhelmed with how well this community supports the food bank, and thank you all very, very much. It is appreciated by the volunteers and most of all by our clients. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I was curious on the utilities and assistance. Is our food bank able to financially contribute to that cause?
Yes, we do. We contribute to that cause. This year we gave Looking Glass Outreach $5,000 to provide for Perry Morrison, Shasburg, utilities, prescriptions, and rent.
Okay, perfect. I was hoping that we were able to, because it's something, like you said, our food bank used to help with utilities until it couldn't afford it, is what happened. So
Yes.
it's nice that we found another way to channel it so that it's happening.
Yes.
And so it's good that we have the finances to help support it too.
Yes, we're very grateful for that.
Does anyone else have questions for Genevieve? Genevieve, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for the
All your
opportunity.
volunteers and all they're doing for the community.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve.
I have asked our representative to the CISA board, Tim DeLue, to give just a brief report.
Thank you. So as most of you know, in late 2021, our full-time firefighter EMS staff voted to form the International Firefighters Local 5360. So since then, we've had a really busy 4.5, 5 months as a board, a group of us on the board, and Chief Hubbard. Tonight, I'm excited to report that at our last regular meeting, which was just last Monday this month, we ratified that contract unanimously. We're very excited about that. That contract was also ratified unanimously by the membership themselves too. So it went over very well with both parties. We feel it's a very strong platform to work from and get started with. One of the biggest things, or two big things that we're really looking for is retention of our current employees and recruitment of future employees. So we think that's really going to help us a great deal. There's a lot of other things going on in the organization and with the board. One other thing I just wanted to make real quick note of, not this last month, but the month before, we celebrated the retirement of our 30-year Department Secretary, Mary Kay Cady. So sad to see her go, but we're moving on. We're going to hire a part-time office assistant, I guess, to support Chief Hubbard and his efforts during the day-to-day operations. So we're going to be putting that out. So if there's any questions or.
Okay, thank you. I know we'll be talking with you again
Yes.
later about our assessment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have any comments from the public? You have opportunity to speak about any topic you wish. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Then we'll move on, not hearing that anyone wants to come forward, to communications. Devin, do you have any communications for us?
I didn't bring any communications, but are you planning on reporting or reminding of what the weekend entails?
Why did you do that? I'm wondering.
Thank you. The yard sales there is a list on the website of anybody who's participating. There are no maps this year, there are just addresses, but please go to www.perry.mi.us to see where the yard sales are taking place throughout the community. It's not only just the city of Perry, we have people in the township area that are also participating. Also starting Monday and throughout the week is City of Perry's Cleanup Week. Monday is free, and as I stressed many times at the last meeting, don't forget Monday is free for large items. Please get your items noted to Shirley, and she will let Granger know that you're putting stuff out on Monday. Anything that needs to be picked up Tuesday through Friday, there will be a charge, and the DPW will take care of them for you, but there will be a charge with that.
Anything else? Okay. I do have just a brief report from the Community District Library Director, Jamie Cromley. She sent me an email, a quick update on the library. The interior and exterior is complete with a few minor things to be done. Everything looks really good. The new layout is fantastic, and I know patrons will be pleased with the accessibility of the rear entrance. I asked her if she would be posting pictures, and she said, no, we want it to be a surprise. So it will be soon. Furniture scheduled to arrive May 28th, expects to be open by June 6th. So that's nice. It looks good from the outside. Just giving a brief synopsis, we had a minor emergency with the water supply because our tower's empty. When the power went down on Friday, everything was fine and tests were negative, so the water was never unsafe to drink. But we did issue a boil water advisory. And then once the tests were known, we lifted that. But that prompted discussion among all of the council and all the DPW on how do we better notify the community when there is something of an urgent nature like that. And Chief Box has given me information on Central Dispatch 911 RAVE program. It is a system to send out emergency notifications of any kind to businesses and residents located within Shiawassee County. Each person has to sign themselves up for it. You go on your smartphone and connect yourself to it. Just like when you do an app for the weather thing and then you get an alert when there's bad weather coming, it's kind of the same thing. So if we were to have an emergency we need to let everybody know about, the contact person, Chief Box or John Souter, the DPW superintendent, would contact 911 dispatch, let them know what the emergency is. They would geofence around the border of the city of Perry, and a notice would go out to everybody who has signed up and connected themselves to that service. There's no additional charge for it. It is included in what we already pay for 911 service. Now, if council is in favor of just doing that, we at city council or city hall could go ahead and start promoting that on Facebook, on the website, all the places that we have available to us, asking residents and businesses to do that. If council would like this to be researched more, we do have a technology committee that could research it more and see what other options there are. Any discussion on that, council, as to how you'd like to proceed with that?
I personally think we should sign up. I'm signed up on it.
I believe we should let the citizens know, it's no cost to the citizens,
No.
and we owe that to them,
Yeah?
to promote the rave system through Shiawassee County 911.
Yeah, I thought first we might have to do a little research, but given what's out there and available, I would say that we go ahead and go for it and get on board with the system that's already there, and just make sure that we've got all of our residents that are willing, that are signed up and utilize it.
Steve, could I just ask you to make a motion in regard to that with getting then council's group reaction so that we have a directive?
I move that we promote the Shiawassee County 911 rave system to the residents of Perry.
We have a motion to inform the residents of this program and encourage them to sign up. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay. So, Megan, Devin, there you go.
Thanks.
Yeah. Excellent. And I want to just say a public thank you to our DPW for their quick response to the water being down. It was only down for 15 minutes. That's good response. And they were testing immediately to see if there was any loss of chlorination, and there was not. So they knew that right away. They just had to then take samples around town to send in for bacteria. But thank you guys, you did a great job. Moving on to committee reports.
I'll give a quick update on the ordinance committee. We met earlier this week and basically are optimistic that we've almost wrapped up the medical marijuana ordinance activity. We've got a couple more things on tonight's agenda that we'll be discussing. We have decided to move forward with the development of a proposal that will come to council with regard to adding some additional clarity or nuisance abatement activity that dovetails in with our cleanup area initiative that we have underway. And we have agreed to draft a new resolution and ordinance proposal for our current off-road vehicle or ORV ordinance in the city. We've had this on our platter for a number of months and have finally understood that with some input from the MML and their direction in terms of what the state requirements are, that we're going to be drafting a resolution and ordinance proposal that ultimately will come before council for review and hopefully approval. Just let everybody know our next scheduled meeting right now is for Thursday, June the 6th at 10 a.m. here in council chambers. Any comments or questions?
Coming in.
10 a.m.
Thank you.
Any other committee reports?
You want to do your public hearing and then we come back to that, or? you want to
No,
just-
we can do it later than 7:15, just not before, so go
Okay.
ahead.
Just a quick report, the Parks Committee, we installed, well, DPW installed all the equipment at Jubilee Park, which did a great job. But I had a good turnout. Mike came out, Chad came out, the families, and Girl Scout troop. I have to look it up. What is it?
30779, I do believe.
Thank you. I think that's right. Helped, and we got all that in. We're missing 2 pieces, so our next meeting will discuss that. And I know Chad said he knew someone who used it already, so it's great.
Thank you, Parks Committee, for all that work, that's great, and all your helpers,
Yes.
and the Girl Scouts. Any other committee reports? If not, then we will move into our public hearing now at 7:23 regarding the 2022-23 budget and city millage rate. Does anyone have any questions or comments that they would like to make in regard to that. Megan's here to answer your question.
Can't see her.
She's hiding behind Guy. We'll wait a few minutes in case you think of something. I will let you know that besides the budget, we'll also be looking at possibly approving the city millage rate. That is a number that comes to us after calculations are done based on our Headley reduction fraction. We get that from the county, and that's 0.9757. Our 2021 rate was 13.0130, and our 2022 rate is 12.6967. So if anybody has questions about that, Megan's also here to answer those. I don't see anybody with their calculator out. Any council, anybody, any comments, anything? Oh, there's a comment.
There's a question for you.
Well, let's move on then to possible approval of the city millage rate. Oh, I'm sorry, we're closing the public hearing at 7:27. Now we'll move on to the possible approval of the city millage rate. All right, there we go. Okay, we're ready. Yep.
I move that we set the city of Perry tax millage rate for 2022 at 12.697.
Is that Bob?
Yes.
Motion from Chad, second from Bob.
Motion by Mike.
I'm sorry. Mike, Chad's on that. Okay, a motion from Mike, second from Bob, that we set the city Perry tax millage rate for 2022 at 12.697. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. In regard to the city 2022-23 budget, looking for possible approval of that.
I move that we accept and adopt the 2022-23 budget resolution as presented by the mayor.
Second?
We have a motion from Larry and a second from Mindy that we accept and adopt the proposed 2022-23 budget. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Boy, Megan, you got out of that.
Yeah, but the last few weeks, she's been.
No, she's been working really hard. Just tonight, yes, she has been. And thank you, Megan, for all your hard work. I know this was a new event for you on your own, and you did a great job. Thank you. Looking toward presentation and approval of the bills.
I move that we approve the bills as presented and the payment be authorized.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the bills, a second, motion from Chad this time, second by Steve. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Now we can move on to the old business item of employees' health insurance. Devin, do you want to talk to us about that?
So in front of you, in your package, you received a sheet. It was talking about the option 3 and option 4, Blue Cross and Blue Shield Silver, and the Blue Care Network Gold. And this is what was talked about in the budget meeting workshops, and the goal was to reduce the budget with these 2 suggestions. Council gave their blessing for administration to offer healthcare coverage under these 2 options. After further looking into it, the suggestion was to budget in with the option 4, but to allow the employees to pick option 3 or option 4. So if you are okay with that, Megan, if I stated that in the budget, option 4 is what was budgeted correctly, so there could
That's the more
possibly.
expensive option?
Yes.
Yes, we budgeted for the more expensive of the 2 packages they're offering.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was option 3. It's the other way around, yep. So with that said, we don't know which way the employees, so there still could be some savings in the budget depending on which option that they chose on that. And we're also looking into a savings plan that the employees could possibly utilize towards their co-pays. And so we're doing a survey with the employees. It would be no cost to the city, actually savings on taxes with that. And so that is going to be an overall consensus on the employees at this point.
Any other questions or any questions for Megan? We have talked about this before, so I know you're all on board with that, but we need to make a decision as to moving ahead with that. Any other questions for Devin?
I move that we approve both healthcare plans, PCBS SB Silver $4,000 and Blue Care Network Gold $1,000 to employees for the 2022-23 fiscal year, and to authorize the clerk to sign the same on behalf of the city.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Mindy. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Moving on to new business, we have on our agenda discussion for future ambulance assessment. Bob Porter brought up last meeting the idea of having incremental special assessments for our ambulance assessment yearly as opposed to a big one after a gap of time. And Bob, Steve, and I went to the CISA board meeting Monday night, and we've asked Guy and Tim to be here tonight to answer any questions that you guys might have related to that. and have further discussion on whether that's something that we want to do next year. We are not talking about this year because we're already past time for that. It would begin in 23, 24. But what questions might you have for them?
I guess the one question either for Guy or Tim would be, I know we talked about, or Bob suggested an annual small amount. I tend to be in favor of maybe every 3 or 4 years, certainly not wait the amount of time that we did this last time, which was a number of years. But what do you think about considering it every 3 or 4 years, go out to your total base of customers, if you will, and look for some smaller incremental increase so that we don't see what some people perceive to be a pretty big jump, but after a 10-year period.
Can I ask you guys to come up to the podium so we can
That's
get
what I thought
on
you might do.
camera?
I was kind of hoping you would.
Please, thank you. Yeah.
You wanted to field that one on too? Well, to answer that question is, the problem with, it's not a problem that we have, is we cover, I think, 7 municipalities, and they all have to agree on everything.
Right.
So getting everybody to agree to everything is not easy to do. And remember, our ambulance income is basically half household assessment and half run revenue. So the household assessment is stagnant. The city of Perry might build 4 houses. That's an extra, 65 times 4 or 1, whatever. So it's not very much money. And then in the meantime, we might burn up 2 of them down, so now we only gain 2. We're not gonna do that, thank God.
The job security.
We're job security. Yeah, right. So I think that the way I see it is a small, like 2-3% raise every year might be easier. Just because I think that everyone will be on board, because you might say 3 years, then Vernon says 2 years, and I don't know, maybe everyone would agree to that. But if you go too many years without it, like we did before, we could run into trouble. And it went from $30 to $45 when PMSA was still servicing the area, and that was in, I think it was like 98, 99, maybe 2000. So it's been 20 years since it increased, and that's, I'll take some of the responsibility for not having raised all that time, but we were doing okay. So I hope that answered your question.
I did have some questions, and I actually emailed these to Guy and Tim earlier this week. So I'll just run the list here.
Well, I've got it too.
All righty.
I'm ready.
The millage
Pretty good.
The millage rate appears to be the same for each municipality, is that correct? The millage rate.
Millage is for fire only.
Okay.
Yes, it is the same.
Okay.
And like we're an authority, so we can tax the city of Perry and Perry Township directly. We can go directly to taxpayers and ask for whatever we feel needed. The others that we can't tax, by contract, they agree to pay the same that the city and the township does. So if we were to go to the city and the township and go for 1.5 mils, then by contract, they have to pay 1.5 mils as well. And we're collecting, I think we got 1.20 something, because our millage is worth 1.25, but with Headley, it's gone down, and we're asking for, we have to renew it, because last time we did it was an 8-year term, so we're going for another 8 years, and I think it's 2024. Yep. We're going on the ballot for that, to renew it, not an increase.
Question, how many member municipalities house ambulances or fire trucks? That's just a point of curiosity.
Sure. The fire station here in Perry, we have ambulance and fire there. Then we have a station in Morris, and that's just fire. We have a station in Durand, and that's just ambulance, and we have a station in Vernon Township, and that's just ambulance. It's kind of unique. We don't cover fire other than, of course, it's the city of Perry, Perry Township, about 3/4 of Bennington Township, and about half of Antrim Township. That's our fire area, when our ambulance area is much larger.
How many member municipalities have water to refill your tankers?
Well, member municipalities, you mean, actually none, just the city of Perry.
Okay.
Of course, Perry's, you're talking about a water tower, a water system.
Yes.
Obviously, Perry Township doesn't, Bennington Township doesn't, Antrim doesn't. Around us, you can look, Byron has, or not Byron, Bancroft has a tower. City of Durand, obviously. Lanesburg has 2 wells that they have, one at 69 Woodbury and then one right downtown Lanesburg, because they don't have a water system, but they do have wells that they put in, so.
So you could draw off those if you needed to.
Yes. I have never personally done it myself. Well, yes, I have. The one in Lanesburg behind the bar there downtown, I've used that one before for tanker shuttles. The one at Woodbury and Lansing Road, I don't know that any of us have used it yet. It's only been there for 5 or 6 years.
And I understand you have something called a floater pump that you could throw in the lake and get water out of that if you need to, is that right?
Yes.
See, I've done
It's
a little
called
research on my own.
It's actually called a chief pump
Okay,
by name.
yeah.
You float it out there with a hose hooked to it, and it'll give you, I don't know, 500 gallons a minute.
Between 350 and 500.
Not very much. Basic house fire would spray probably about 500 gallons a minute
Yeah.
when we're fighting fire.
Now, looking as well as Megan and I could online at what other member municipalities pay for their special assessment, we found that not everybody pays the same. How does that work?
Everybody does pay the same.
Okay. So,
However-
print's wrong,
Yes, it is wrong.
okay?
The Perry Township is an example.
Yes,
I got a copy of that from Tim today, so
all right.
I was ready. But I would have been ready anyway. I've known this for years. When it went to $45 per household or per unit, way back then, the Perry Township decided to assess the residents $35 and pay the extra 10 out of pocket, out of general fund.
Oh,
And they've always done that.
okay.
I don't know why, but they do. But now I don't know. I called Troy Parnley today, tried to get a hold of him, and he never called me back. But with it now being 65, I don't know if they're doing 55 and still paying 10 out of general fund. I don't know how they're doing. And that's the way it works with ambulances. We really don't care how you collect it.
Yeah.
We just use your assessment, or we use your households, count the number of households times 65. This is how much you owe us. I don't care how you do it.
Okay. Doesn't Antrim Township also do something like that?
Antrim Township, well, they were kind of late getting started with the going from 45 to 65.
Okay.
So they still assess 45
Okay,
and didn't want to try to change it mid-year, so they were only paying 45. But now they've decided to catch it up by paying the extra 20 out of their ARPA funds.
okay,
So they are paying 65, and then that started January 1st.
all right. Well, that addresses those discrepancies then, because
Yeah.
I was feeling mighty bad about that.
I don't blame you at
So
all.
now I feel better about that.
I can assure you that everyone's paying their fair share.
All right,
In fact, and I don't want to get into this too much, but the city of Durand is an example.
okay,
They wanted a bid for ambulance service based on millage. So, going through all the calculations, the household count and the businesses, because businesses pay one assessment, and that's why rather than households, I like to call it units. They pay 1 unit fee per every 5 full-time employees. Now, that's 10 people that work 20 hours, that's 5.
right,
So they may pay, McDonald's may pay $90, or, twice that, whatever the business is. We don't have a lot of those there. Durant has businesses that have a lot more than that for employees.
yeah,
So in trying to do the math, it's not easy. But, so I came up with we bid it at 1.5 mils for the city of Durant. Now, because it's a millage, that means it goes up every year automatically. So this year they're paying basically 65. I mean, it's rough math, but, and I looked it up today or yesterday, whatever it was. The city of Perry's taxable value in 2020 was 46,124,322, or 332. And then 2021 taxable value is 48,213,723, which means the city of Perry went up 4.5% in their taxable value. So the city of Durant, I'm sure, is the same. So I would imagine that somewhere between 3 and 5%, the city of Durant is going to pay increase every year because of that, unless we have another 2008, where everything crashed.
yeah.
But, so they're going to pay more every year. Next year, they're going to pay more than what they do, more than 65. But that's the way they wanted it, and if they build it crazy in the city of Durant,
What's good?
we're going to get lots of extra money.
And if they get a huge new business, we might build up crazy.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
as an offshoot of that.
And again, with ambulance, that hurts because, not hurt, but we only get the one unit plus one more for every 5 employees. If they only employ 10 people, we're still not getting very much money. But fire really helps because of taxable value.
Yeah.
Because we get 1.25 mils.
So, the questions that I had sent you,
Yep.
as you can see, were pretty much geared toward my surprise that it didn't appear at what we were seeing online, that everybody was paying the same. But now I understand that you are receiving the same from everybody. It might just be broken apart differently, where the ambulance assessment could be paid as residents paying part of it and the village or city paying a portion from wherever they're getting it from.
Right, I knew that in the beginning that Perry Township was doing that, but I didn't know that they were still doing it until I looked it up myself. And I thought, wow, they've gone 20 years paying $10 out of general fund, but they didn't really have to. But, and I don't know what they're gonna do now.
Okay,
But they are paying it already. I don't know how they sorted it out.
okay,
Everybody's been paying it since January 1st.
okay. Anybody else on council have questions for Tim or Guy, ambulance specialist?
Well, I know they asked, because I was at the meeting, they asked the members to go back to their respective communities and with a 3%, wasn't it?
That's
3% annual increase. So now they'll report back, and you didn't put a deadline on it that I remember, so I know that they're already was thinking about that.
I guess that the city of Durham was like your last question. Who pays higher?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my explanation for the city of Durham. That's why I prepared that answer.
Thank you.
That's it?
Anything else you have?
I expected to get beat up here. No, that's great. Oh, yes, I do have one other thing. I have one other thing. I'll let Tim pass it out.
This is where you get beat up.
Yeah, this is where I get beat up. Okay, I'm ready. With ARPA funds.
Oh, yeah,
They're gone.
go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's what,
We're doing it to every municipality, so,
Yeah.
every municipality is getting the same letter.
just so you don't feel left out,
Yep.
that's all.
And again, this is something that there's, I think there's 8 listed municipalities on here. If all of them don't agree to it, probably none of them are gonna do it. So, I'm asking, you can take it out of general funds, it doesn't have to be from ARPA funds. So, or maybe the police department, you can get it done.
Are you here all week?
They could go another year without a new car. But as you can see, the ARPA money, of course, and,
That was a grant.
what?
Didn't care.
Oh, was it? I didn't know if they got a new car, I was just joking. But anyway, back in 2021, we were forced by the state in order to, because the state stopped recognizing the use of the monitors that we use. So we had to buy new ones. And it was a little over, I think it was right around between $30,000 and $35,000 a piece, and we had to buy 3 of them. And then the AEDs, we had to buy, I think, 5 or 6 of those, because again, it was the same brand, not acceptable. Automatic external defibrillator, the police department has one. Yep.
When I hear the words, I know what it is.
Yeah, we provide the pads, we just trade them out when they get close to expiring, because, well, we can't do that anymore, but, so anyway, we had to spend $192,000 on that equipment. And in asked by other municipalities, why aren't you asking for ARPA funds? My answer was, of course, like I always say, it's got to get everybody to agree to it. But they wanted to present something, so that was my expense that I was presenting, that if all the municipalities shared that expense, it'd be a little tiny bit over $24,000 each to pay for that equipment. Having to pay for that equipment, having to buy that equipment, what it does is it causes our ambulance purchase to go back at least a year, maybe 2, because that $192,000 probably could have just about bought an ambulance, but because we had to buy that equipment, we had to delay that.
Have you thought of demonstrating to the county commissioners the portion of the county, the population that you serve, and asking for, rather than 24,000 from each small municipality, who the most of us don't have it. I mean, God, that guy, if we had it, we would,
I know you've already spent it, I knew that. Perry Township has too.
but we don't. So, if you send a letter to the commissioners demonstrating how much of the county you provide services for, and following that up then with what you need to buy, and so with your money, could you possibly send us this much? I mean, have they given you any, have you done that, have they replied?
Well, the Shiawassee County Fire Chiefs got together, and we had a meeting, decided to go to the county commissioners requesting funding from ARPA money. And what we decided, if you talk about the fire departments in Shiawassee County, that covers everybody from 1 day old to 100 years old.
Yeah.
Well, if they live past 100, of course, we don't kick them out, but if, so that covers every resident in Shiawassee County. So I thought it was a pretty good request. We decided to go for $90,000 per department, and I think we were trying to keep under $1 million or something, I'm not sure what it was. Made a presentation to the county commissioners, they handed out the paper for justification for that, and I haven't heard anything back, and that was, well, you were there at the meeting when I was,
It was
when I
that
presented
meeting
it.
last fall? Okay.
Yeah, you and,
Larry.
That was there.
yeah, that was a long, long time ago.
It was a long, long time ago.
We haven't heard anything about it, we haven't heard anything back.
We
So, but-
haven't gotten any reply regarding our request either.
Yeah, so I'm not against going to the commissioners again, but I would like to see it be an effort through all of the ambulance companies in the county, and maybe ask for $1 million and split it up 5 ways, you know, based on miles of coverage area. It's kind of hard to do because maybe based on taxable value would be a better or fairer way to do it, because the city of Owasso has a lot more calls than Corona Ambulance or Twin Township Ambulance and so on. There's not very many of us in the county anymore. Lanesburg, Perry, Owasso City, Corona, and Twin, and MMR covers a little bit of area, so that's it. There's not like there are fire departments, so. That's been discussed.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the ambulance companies don't get together anymore like they used to, so it's, you know, to take the administrator for each one to, you know, call a special meeting or just get together and discuss that. But I've thought about it, and I think I'm going to encourage that happens. Why not?
We could do it on our own too.
Yeah, we could have requests on our own.
Sure.
Yeah, if they don't want to do it, we'll do it anyways. We'll do it for ourselves. $1 million wouldn't hurt,
It wouldn't hurt at all.
and it wouldn't hurt the county either.
It would not. Any other questions, comments, discussion points for Guy? Devin has one.
I just had a point for council and guys. So typically when every May this subject comes up about the ambulance assessment, I contact Guy and get his recommendation. So once we're all on the same page, would that still happen? And then Guy would just report how he's got all of the municipalities and what his recommendation is? Would that's what I would assume would happen?
I would just like to see, I mean, that's fine. I would just like to see everybody agree to 2-3% or whatever, and then you just understand you're gonna raise it that much every year.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way I would like to see
That's fine, and I
it,
can
yeah.
make notes on that too. That was the only, I
Yeah.
kind of let, so council knows how we usually do this, that I usually communicate with you for the mayor and council on what your recommendation is.
And it may be where we decide 3% the first year,
Mhm.
and then everybody's on board, and then the next year we say 3%, but no, some want to do 2%, so we go 2% the next year, whatever the case is. But I think it's definitely got to be something that's decided by all the municipalities at once, at the very beginning, so that we're all, you know, not going to meetings and I say 5, I say 3, I say 2.
So could I make a suggestion that the board, the CESA board itself would begin talking about this so that they could go back to their municipalities in like March or April, so that their person could come back to the municipality and say, the board is overall,
And we did
is
that.
doing 2%.
They're doing that
3%.
now.
We did that, yes.
They're supposed to, after having left the last meeting that we had Monday, they're supposed to go back to their municipalities and see what they thought of the same thing. Now, I don't know.
And I mean next year, though. I mean,
Yeah.
going forward, would
Oh,
you
yeah.
make notes that
Yes.
that's gonna be part of your future meetings, that you guys will,
Yes.
you as a rep would be reporting what's gonna happen?
Yep.
Okay, that'll work out great, just so we,
I don't know how assessments work exactly, if it's automatic or if it's not automatic, or it has to be part of the special assessment district. I know you set up a district and it's the whole city and all that. But if you do an assessment and you're able to raise it, what, 5 or 10% a year?
up to
Based on-
10%.
up to
the max is
10%
what it is.
Without going back and doing the special meetings and all that. I don't know if they're all written the same way.
I don't either, and that's what, I've been asked that, Guy, and I don't know. All I know is how the city does it. They can do it at flat, they're gonna have a resolution in front of them every first meeting in May then, and it's gonna be a flat amount so that it shows the residents. I mean, it'll be figured at a percentage, but in the
Right.
resolution, it will be a flat amount increase that would happen
Right, and
for the city.
amongst our municipalities, you know, Durant is a special circumstance, but the village of Morris does it. I think they're talking about changing, but they do it by millage too.
Oh, okay.
And then they pay the township that calculation.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure, but I think Antrim Township does it by, I don't know if it's possible, but I think they put their assessment request on a ballot. I think, I'm not sure. And that's one of the reasons why they stuck to the 45, because they'd already gave their request and passed, but now they're paying the extra out of ARPA funds.
When does CESA start thinking of the next year to raise or not to raise?
Last year.
No, you know, in a month, so I don't,
Our budget has to be presented by September 30th, 31st, whatever the last day is. So I would assume that with this year being passed, because the budget that I'll present in September will be for '23.
right?
So it may not be, you know, obviously you can adjust the budget, whether it's income or expenses at any time. So I would imagine sometime in the early in '23 is when we'll hopefully get everybody on board and start paying. But it might take another year, because there's so many of us that have to agree to the same thing. It might take more, it might not be able to do anything until '24. I don't know.
Well, your fiscal is September.
No, January.
It's a calendar year, but you have a budget.
Right, it has to be turned into the state by the end of September, I believe,
Okay.
something like that. We have to approve it by the end of September.
Okay.
We always do that at the September meeting.
This is something that I was asked, and a fiscal budget can be different than what this special assessment, it's all about July 1st taxes. So they're determining it that way, but just so everybody knows, that's why the city makes a determination in May, because it allows it to get to July 1st taxes. And because I was asked, I just want to say that out loud.
I was just making sure that because I know you talked to them, Devin, in March, April. If they on a policy or a note, January, February, say, okay, this year we're gonna ask all municipalities that we serve to raise it, whatever that percentage is, 2 or 3. And then present it to us, City of Perry, so we have it by May 1st. And we can just, like clockwork, make sure we do it.
Right, and I can say that going from 45 to 65, we started that discussion in early 2020. So it took, in order to get everyone on the same page, because they had just renewed theirs, they had just done that, theirs wasn't up yet, amongst those municipalities. It took that long to get everybody on the same time frame to collect that money. I think Vernon Township actually sat on the money for 6, 8, 10 months. So they started paying January 1st, but they had it way before that.
Questions, discussion, anybody?
Anything good or even bad stuff? Let's hear it. I'm ready.
Well, no, I'm just joking.
Yeah. You be careful, pal.
Thank you,
Thank
both of
Thank
you
you.
for coming.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll let you know.
Is the hydrant thing anything I need to say for?
I'm sorry?
The hydrant?
No, that's just an internal budget thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna put a lock on it, and you have to pay every time you open it.
Well,
We're gonna put a money thing, you have to put dimes in.
I want to say probably close to 20 years ago, the city council had considered charging the fire department for use of a hydrant. That's not legal. And if it were illegal, we'd broken the law.
Very good. Thank you for all that good information. Appreciate it. Let me see if I can figure out where we are. We got that done, we got that. Oh, we're down to possible approval of cost of living bonus. We've talked about this. We talked about it at our budget workshop. We've talked about it, I think, even at a council meeting. So truly, this resolution before you is something we have already talked about, but any discussion or questions about how to approach that? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Just be a one-time payment that writes a check.
Yep.
And we just said not a payroll check is what we talked about the last
We
time?
talked about not doing it on top of their wages so that it increased every year, but simply a check
Just a
of
one-time
3%, one time, it's cost of
A
living.
bonus check they do.
Yep.
Then they'll get a 1099 basically for, or I mean, if you put on there
They're,
at the
it's still
end.
going through payroll.
It'll still go through payroll, so the taxes will be taken out.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just, it's not gonna be a wage increase. It's
Okay.
it's gonna go through on, as a bonus, as an offer.
I move that we approve 3% cost of living bonus check for all of those on city payroll except council and mayor.
Second.
We have a motion by Bob, seconded by Mike. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next, we're going to talk about the MEDC. Larry, did you want to say anything about this?
Sure, I certainly can.
All right.
Just to bring everybody back up to speed, we've had discussions in the past with the planning commission involved. I think I mentioned in our last meeting that we had a representative, Chuck Donaldson, in from the MEDC, speaking to the planning commission about the city of Perry engaging in the RRC, or the Rural Redevelopment Program offered by the MEDC. And the first potential major benefit for us that I mentioned was that of being able to utilize their resources to help us coach us through an updated master plan development that the planning commission will have to lead. And there's a number of other benefits, et cetera, that we believe that we'll be able to reap going forward. It is a no-cost opportunity for us as a city. It does involve obviously some resource time that we have to commit someone from the planning commission to agree to take some upfront training and someone from the staff to agree to take that training. I believe that Megan has volunteered or been encouraged to become the staff person, and Genevieve Cottrell, Gemma was here earlier, but she had volunteered to take it as part of the planning commission. So that piece is in place, but to formally kick the activity off, the MEDC requires a resolution be passed by council that basically just confirms that, yes, we as a city want to enter into the process. It's in our whatever pace we as a city decide that we want to take. There's no timeline associated with it, but this would basically jumpstart or kick off the activity.
It doesn't involve a lot of time as far as the training that's online.
Right.
You were talking with Chuck about,
It's about
that-
6 to 8 hours of training
There you
required to get, quote, trained. And then one of the next first steps, if you will, is if we pass the resolution, we will be assigned a representative from the MEDC that will, it'll take them some period of time, but we'll go through our master plan, our zoning ordinance, et cetera, and try to grade us basically as a city in terms of a red, yellow, green kind of grading, to identify those areas that meet best practices and those that we should focus on first. And that would obviously lead into probably the master plan being one of the things that we recognize we're deficient in.
And Megan would not be going away to do this, it's
It's
all
an
online.
online training.
Genevieve would be online, so it can be done at their,
At their opportunity to
Yeah.
be able to proceed. Comments, questions? I look personally at it, a good thing that we can walk our way forward and decide how engaged. Not all of the other communities in Shiawassee County are engaged, as I think I mentioned before, but a number of them are. Actually, Langsberg has gotten to be a certified RRC community. The others are at various stages of just getting started and some midway through the activity.
Doing this doesn't hinder or exempt us from, because MDDC has grants.
No,
Or
actually,
different things. It doesn't-
It actually will enhance, and one of the ways we
Okay.
first, I'll say stumbled into it, but it's really through James Hisson, as we were looking at grant opportunities, he approached me and said, is the city of Perry engaged in the RRC program? I said, oh, what is it? And he said it does open you up to some additional grant opportunities. And just to clarify for everyone, the question was, do we have to have a DDA to be able to be a part of the program? And the answer is no, we do not have to establish a downtown development authority to participate, nor does it force us to have one once we get into it.
other questions?
I move that we accept and adopt the resolution regarding the city of Perry participating with MEDC on the redevelopment ready communities program.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Larry. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. We have some policy amendments. Again, we touched on this at a past meeting, and now you have the refined City of Perry authorities, boards, and commissions reporting policy and procedures. Just for example, the Perry District Library representative is required to report quarterly. We do get copies of their minutes regularly. Just for Tim's benefit, because he's still here. CISA, the following authorities, boards, and commissions are required to make an annual written progress report as specified below, and that is the library director, the McQueen House superintendent, DPW planning commission, zoning administrator, building inspector, Shiawassee Council on Aging, and Southwest Shiawassee Emergency Services Alliance, and Shiawassee Area Transportation. So, an annual written progress report. And we would send this information out to everybody that needs to know. But we need council approval to make that official. Any questions or discussion about that?
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
First, it's sort of related. Have we gotten a written report from the board of review for the taxes for the taxes? I haven't seen it, and that's part of my question on this one, because it's number one. The one exception is the city assessor. Does that mean it's just, she needs to give it by March 1st to the state, or does she come in front of the council?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yes, please.
No.
No, lie to me.
This policy was originated several years back. I would say 2013, 14. You had a council member that was frustrated that we had representatives going to these meetings and not reporting. So that's how this was originally created.
Okay.
So The council always asks that I would remind whoever was the chair, I don't give it to everybody, but our representatives, they'll get a copy of this. I didn't do this the last 2 years because of COVID, haven't held one even meeting. But prior to that, a lot of them just ignored this policy, unless a council particularly said, we want to hear from you. So it was a policy that was made out of frustration, and sometimes they follow it and sometimes they don't. So I find the people that report regularly, library is here every year, you don't even have to blink an eye. And then I would say John Plumman has always done CESA and made sure that he was here, sometimes quarterly, of course, because of the other positions he held through the county, but those were the only two that have been truly faithful on their own without even a reminder of the policy. So it was brought up to my attention that there was recordings needed to be done, and I knew that council past had changed on what meetings necessarily need to be recorded, and it was still in this one, so I brought it to the mayor and I said, this policy is outdated, and so she's reevaluated it, and the mayor, I guess you can report on what you thought, that it was still, a lot of things were still essential, and the rest was all her amendments of what she's proposed to you today. And we can move forward and tell me what you expect and what you would like me to push more or less, or the mayor push more or less on this policy, I guess.
Did that answer your question?
Well, somewhat. It's a good start, but who is on this where it says, all authorities, boards, commissions required to provide an annual written report shall attend the city council meeting between January 1st and June. One exception is the city assessor, who must have a copy of the assessment on or before the first Monday in March per parish charter. Page 27, section 613. So who does that assessor, where does that go to? It doesn't say, is that going in front of the council? Or is it
Who
just?
created and who said that, and I'm assuming it's something at a state level that Eileen does.
Okay,
To be quite honest, when the policy first started, we had all of them showing up the first, second year, even your assessor, to report all this information, and then I can't report. I gave you who reported.
okay.
And that's, so it's a good question that I'm trying to be polite enough to give you a scenario of, I can't answer it because it's not happening.
Well, it definitely has to go to the county, because they have to be the ones who determine what our millage rate is going to be, and that's what it's based on.
So
So I don't know the answer either, Bob, but I believe this is referencing that specific date because it has to go.
has to go to the county. So do we want to amend that saying that the council would like a copy of it, and then who, I mean, the assessor is pretty simple, that sounds like the assessor would have to write any reports. But then, who would write the reports on the other things? Is it just that board or commissions would decide who's gonna write that? Their secretary, I would assume that. Because it doesn't specify, it just says a written report, it doesn't say, okay.
Well, under E, it's a written progress report, and that's going to be the chairman.
Or the chairman will assign something,
Correct,
okay.
yeah,
That's just an internal thing then.
right, yeah. It does state under E2 on this page that I have, the written progress report for each respective authority, board, and commission shall include, as appropriate but not limited to, the following: past year activities, past year accomplishments and achievements, status report on current ongoing project and/or activities, new year goals and objectives, and proposed budgetary needs with rationale. So I mean, it pretty much says what we want to know.
No, I think it's good. I
Well, they can
have no
get it
issue with
to-
what you're saying in there. I just had a question, because it seems to be the only exception right here is the assessor, but then it doesn't say that the assessor needs to do anything other than turn that into the county. Does council, should council have a copy of that given to us in some sort of presentation? And I offer that to anyone to
I mean,
get.
would the assessor just copy us in
They can turn it
that
in.
communication?
Yes, or come and tell us what it is, and I don't know necessarily, I'm not like curious on what, I'm curious of what the information she's giving to the county. It's more just, you know, how did it go up or down, how many total house, those kind of things.
Sure.
I don't think we need to know or actually, you know, exceptions or exemptions or anything like that, just the basic, we have 2,000 households and the average assessment is X, whatever it is.
Okay, I can work on that. Any other changes anybody sees we need to be addressing? So we'll address this and bring it back.
Thank you.
Possible adoption of ordinance amendment number 362 regarding repealing hydrant rental. This we also talked about last time, but now it's come before us in a formal manner.
I move that we adopt the proposed amendments, let me do this. I move that ordinance number 362, which repeals hydrant rental, and which was read at the May 5th regular council meeting, be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion from Steve, seconded by Larry. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And now we need to look at the possible approval for the application form for the medical marijuana license application. Devin has created this using other municipalities, and I think she did a great job putting it together. But your comments, questions, discussion is welcome.
I think like we talked before, there's some spots in here that we added, or Devin added some things that basically to keep it as anonymous as possible once the application is received by city staff, that it becomes transparent to anyone else. There will be an application identifier assigned, and even as we go through the process until the actual lottery winner is identified, no one will know other than Devin what application goes with what potential business name, which I think is something just to help us stay as transparent as absolutely possible through this whole process.
You'll see on page 5 where the applicant will sign indicating they're the one who chose the numbers for the lottery use, but then that will be cut away when those numbers are used to determine the winner for the lottery draw.
Exactly. The lottery committee will only see the top portion. If the applicant will assign verifying that yes, these are the numbers that we are submitting for the lottery.
So whoever's doing the lottery will only see that part.
Correct.
They won't see the application with the identifier or anything like that.
Right.
And when
That's
you
why
say-
the identifier number is also at the top of the portion that they will see. So all they'll see is the identifier and the lottery numbers that each applicant selected. So after the daily lottery that we'll talk about in a few minutes is held, they'll, as a committee, go through the applications versus the Michigan Daily Lottery for that particular date, go through the math and establish the winner and runners-up, etc.
Any other comments or questions?
Move that we approve the medical marijuana license application as presented.
Second.
A motion from Mike, seconded by Chad. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And as Larry just alluded to, now we're going to look at possible adoption of a resolution to set the dates for accepting applications for medical marijuana provisioning center and the lottery drawing.
Basically, the background we'll go through is, we sat down and kind of staged our way through this meeting and the fact that we have to make certain that we've had the proper amount of time to have the ordinance actually in place, and that drove the calendar for the application time frame. Our ordinance did say that we'll accept applications for a 30-day period once we've set that. And then subsequent to the actual close of the application, the ordinance indicates that the staff has up to 5 business days to verify the application to be complete. So if they were to receive an application on the last day of the application period, they have 5 business days to verify its completeness. Therefore, you're going to hear in terms of or what's set in the resolution, the timing, there's a window of time, if you will, to allow that process to occur. And then after the lottery, time for the lottery committee to conduct their business.
Any discussion, points, questions?
I move that we accept and adopt a resolution which sets the dates and times for accepting medical marijuana provision center applications, lottery, and announcing the conditional license winner, and said dates and times are as follows. Accepting applications from 8 a.m. June 1st, 2022 to 3 p.m. June 30th, 2022. The Michigan Daily 3 and Daily 4 evening lottery on Wednesday, July 13th, 2022 at 7:15. And the conditional license winner will be announced on Thursday, July 21st, 2022 at the regular council meeting at 7:15 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion from Larry, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion as read, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Once again, thank you to the ordinance committee and to Devin for all of the time, research, and work that they have put all this together. Do we have any other business that may come before council?
Yes, at this time, I'd like to move that council vote no confidence for John Plowman as one of the city's representatives on the CISA board, and ask the mayor to remove him as one of the representatives on the CISA board.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I second it.
We have a motion of no confidence by Steve, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Any other items of business to come before council? Any other public comment? Anyone that would like to make any public comments at this time? Council discussions or observations? Items for our next agenda?
I'd like to put on my email down, but I'd like to make a resolution that we to rename the exercise loop, that we just put, fitness loop, sorry, that we just put in a Jubilee.
Okey-doke. And we'll bring back the, those guidelines, policies, whatever they're called. Policy things. Anything else? No? It is now 8:24 and the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.